actually browse back the video. Okay, how's everybody? I hope everybody is actually in a good health and conditions, especially during our hard times facing the COVID-19 pandemics. And of course, life has to go on, and we need to actually continue what we have right now, what we're doing right now, especially those who are doing your research for your PhD and master research. Then you need to go on and you need to okay. So my name is Zaida. You can my full name is Zaidatun Tasir, but you can call me Zaida. I've been uh, assigned this task today to discuss on the formulation of research problem in educational technology. So my background is actually educational technology. Till this year, I've been I think 32 students, 32 PhD students graduated under my supervision, Alhamdulillah. And I have around more than 60 students graduated masters under my supervision. So that's just a brief background about myself. Then you know that how many years that I've been involved in this educational technology research. I graduated with a PhD in educational technology in 2002. So 20 years, almost 20 years, I actually already have a PhD. Okay, let us going to make this session two-way session because we only have 1 hour. So I need your participations. You can anytime you can stop me, and then if you have questions, but don't type in chat if you have question. You have to say something because I can't see you in a chat because I'm using a different notebook today. Usually when I deliver any talk, I will use 2 screens. But then I have another meeting. You can see that I'm wearing earphone, but the earphone is not actually for this WebEx. I have another WebEx running behind me, which is actually our subsenate meeting, presenting all your marks. But Alhamdulillah, all of your marks has been presented yesterday. So today I have another meeting at about 12 p.m. to present cases of our doctoral degree students. So therefore, concentrate on this. If you have question, you have to stop me. Don't type in chat because I can't see you in chat. Before this, I can see it if I have to screen. Okay, let us continue. One thing that you have to remember is in doing research, you have to set in your mind that you love your PhD research. No matter slow your speed, is it? You have to make sure that every day you're moving forward. It doesn't matters whether sometimes you start a little bit on certain stage, maybe you move a little bit, but for you have to concentrate and move forward and try to improve as much as you can to make sure that you survive, you still continue doing your research. And nothing, for me, nothing is actually impossible. Everything is possible. This is where this morning you have to tell yourself that you love your PhD research, because if you try to distract yourself from your research, then your study will be delayed, and at the end you will trap in the stage what we call it as procrastination. You keep delaying all your works. That's not the right, I think, behavior in doing research. My scope today will cover on doing research as PhD, doing research as a master's for research, and at the end of it, I give a little bit bonus on for the master talk course students, how can you find your research topic and so on, because I believe some of you will start to do your master project this coming semester. Okay, so this is just a component of PhD research proposal, so that you can actually guide, you can actually know that how many pages that you should prepare. For those who are doing master talk course or master to research, the numbers of pages are going to be less than what I've been put in slide. For example, this is a skeleton for your chapter 1. Your introduction should be about 1.5 page. Your background of problem should be 3 to 4 pages. Your statement of problems is going to be 1.5 page. Your research objective should be not more than 5 research objectives. For the master project, you can have 3 research objectives. For PhD, it's about more 4 to 5. Same goes to the research questions, because there is a certain situation you have 1 research objective, but you need 2 research questions to answer the research objective. Okay. Okay, and then you have your research question, your theoretical framework. Okay, your theoretical framework is about 2 pages with a diagram. Then you have your conceptual framework also, and the importance of research is just 1.5 page. Your scope of research is about 1 page only. Okay, and of course the operational definition about 2 to 3 pages, and summary only 1 paragraph. So approximately your chapter 1 is going to be about 32 pages to 28 pages, but not more than 30 pages. But for master project, maybe your chapter 1 is just around 20 or 18 pages. This guideline, you really need it so that your writing will be concise, straightforward, because nowadays the examiners of the thesis, they tend to, because they welcome very much on thesis that really concise, straight to the point, no longer on thick thesis. Although might be your supervisor right now says that when your supervisor gives his or her PhD thesis for you to refer, might be you see about 350 pages, but nowadays the trends of examiners, they expect you will write as concise as you can. For chapter 2, of course, you have this as a guideline. It's about 225 pages. Don't put the chapter 2 more than 40 pages. Sometimes maybe you need up to 38 pages, 39 pages, but not more than 40 pages. If your chapter 2 up to 90 pages, meaning that you are putting something that not really relevant in the proposal. Same goes to the chapter 3. It's about 20 pages, concise, your introduction, your research design, procedure, sampling, instrumentations, pilot study, data analysis, and summary. So the important point in this research proposal is background of problem. How do you formulate your research problem? And that is what the topics that I will discuss. So the most difficult part is that to identify, to formulate a clear, relevant, practical, concise, and manageable research problem. Okay, and formulating a research problem is really a big problem. Okay, it's really a big problem to formulate research. I will give you some tips, tricks to help you, to assist you to formulate problem. It's not really difficult, but you need to know the tips, the tricks, the techniques, and how you're going to do it. Okay. And of course, the problem is the heart of the research. The first questions that the examiner will ask you, what is your research problem? Okay, because they can't see your research problem from your write-up in chapter 1. Okay, and if there is no problem, meaning that there is no research. Research must start with problem. Don't ever take a problem related to political issue as part of your research problem. Don't ever take that, because politic is about something that you cannot control. That's why you have to select problem. You have to consider on problem and identify the solution that you can control. Example, I'll give you one example. If there is a problem in terms of your Ministry of Education in your country, let's say you come from China or Nigeria or Pakistan, then you know that in your country you're having problem on the policy, on the rules of regulations by your Ministry of Education. Then that's really a big problem. And that is the fundamental problem that needs to be solved. But you are doing a PhD research. You are not the prime minister of your country. You are not the education minister. So you can't take that problem as your PhD problem, because you're not going to be graduated soon. And nobody would like to hear it, and so on, because you can't change the world. That's why a PhD problem is something that practical, manageable, doable for you to solve the problem. And you are not solving the world problem. You are solving a problem, a small problem. For example, a problem related to teaching and learning, a problem about assessment, a problem about teacher attitudes, a problem about trainings among teachers, among students, and so on. That is doables and manageables problem. Okay? Remember that. Okay, and then what is a research problem? This is the descriptions about the research problem. Uh, Research problem is something that you would like to answer in research, and it's actually the issue and the main focus of your research. It must be specific. It must be a small problem, not really a big problem. And identifying a specific problem in the social science area, research area, need some limitation of study and scope of research. You cannot actually focus on really a huge and big problem, because if that is your research focus, then you're not going to be graduated on time, and might be also you not manage to get your PhD at the end of your study. So it's an issue, a specific issue, difficulty, contradiction, or gaps, things that not have been studied yet for PhD. But for master, it's okay for you to concentrate on the topic that might be other researchers has focused on it. For PhD, for example, the gaps is that something like the missing information in terms of theory on certain cases or certain situation in learning and teaching. So that is going to be your problem. In that, for example, I'll give you one example. People talking about, let's say I took it as, okay, people talking about problem solving. Problem solving in STEM problem solving in learning mathematics, in learning what we call it science, problem solving through technology. How do students solve problems through online learning environments and so on. So when you browse the literature, you analyze the literature, you found out quite numbers of papers talk about problem solving in online learning. Okay, but then might be most of the paper is focusing on certain level of students. Like say they are focusing on might be higher ed students, and few are focusing on preschool children, and none has been focusing on preschool children in Nigeria. That is going to be a really good problem for you to embark and to start for your PhD. You see that? Without reading it, I can assume that kind of thing. That is where you use your experience as a teacher to formulate the basic ideas or problem that you plan for your research. Later on, what you need to do, I will tell you, because we need to reconfirm your assumption. For example, my assumption, reading that to focus, there is a problem, there is a gap in terms of information, and tell me how preschool children solve problem in learning, for example, mathematics in my country, which is actually Nigeria. So that is my assumption. How can I reconfirm that assumption is really worth to study, is really, in terms of academic point of view, is really relevant to study? This is where you need the next step that I will share you later on in the following slide. So is it a focus or the reason for you to engage into your research? That's why you have to love your research problem. You have to love your research. Then you can have passion in finishing your master project or research. And it's typically a topic, phenomenon or challenge that you are interested in, and with you are at least somewhat familiar. You have to concentrate on problem that you are familiar with it. You did not you're familiar with it because you have experience doing. For example, I did mention experience is a one source of knowledge that you need to use when you want to identify your problem. Don't take totally problem that you did not have any ideas about it. You did not experience it. That is really difficult, and it will drag the durations of your study. Okay. And problem consists of area of concern, condition to be improved, difficulty to be eliminated, and question seeking answer, and an issue whereby there is a missing link, there is a missing information, there is a missing fact in the literature. This is where you would like to focus for your study. Okay. And why the problem is important? Because it established the importance of the topic. Why is important? Because you have to tell the readers or the examiners what are the importance of your research, and it creates
Assalamualaikum.
actually examiner interest. Yeah, I hear that there is a question. Yeah.
Please, I want you to repeat what you have said now.
Can you repeat it? What?
The last segment that you have spoken now.
The last statement that?
Yeah.
The last statement that I say or what?
No, the last stage before this
Oh,
section.
the last page. This one?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
but I believe you can access the slide from the Google Drive, isn't it?
Okay. No,
I already put in chat. Maybe someone you need to copy it and put it again in the chat because our friend here just logged in into WebEx. Can someone help me on that?
no, my question is on this.
Oh, you want to question? You want to question? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, where you say condition to be improved.
Mhm.
Condition to be improved.
Yeah. What? Okay. You want to know what is the condition to be improved?
Yes, yes. Because
Okay.
you have.
Okay. If you are doing action research, the problem is there, the solution is there, but you want to improve the solution. This is where the condition to be improved. Can you see?
Okay.
Because action research can be one part of research method in PhD research.
Okay.
Example, the solution is there. The solution has been suggested by the Ministry of Education in your country, but it did not work. Then you would like to improve the condition. You would like to improve the solution. You would like to revise the solution. Because revising the solution is also the new knowledge. Because the new
Okay.
method will come in. The new knowledge, the new way will come in. Okay?
Okay.
So far so good, eh? Okay. So this is why it's important because it's focused on the reader attentions, how the study will be add to the literature, because when you identify the problem, your chapter 2 must reflect your critical analysis towards identifying the gaps and research problem. And it helps you to formulate the sequence of your research. Like what is the sequence of your research? Okay. And it's hard actually to formulate a good answer to a bad question. Question that well asked is a question that well answered. That's why when you identify the research problem, you have to think, is it a good question, a good problem to be answered? Can I have a solution for this research problem? If you can't have the solution on it, then the research problem is not the one that you should focus for your PhD research. Okay. Then you need to justify why the problem is important by triangulate it with the research literature. So you need to actually read a certain amounts of paper related to the research focus that you would like to concentrate it. The literature review very confirm whether the problem is still relevant or not nowadays in 2022 in your country. Remember that you have to remember certain learning and teaching problem in Malaysia might be not relevant anymore in 2022, but then it might be relevant in other country. So it's okay. If you are doing research for your own country in Nigeria, Pakistan, or China, and the problem is still relevant there, although most of the literature that you read, okay, none have been focusing on the research within these 5 years of time. For example, the latest uh, paper that you found out related to the issue that you would like to study outside, might be China or Nigeria, okay, other country, might be the latest one is on in 2018, none in 2022. But if you compare the research, the problem based on the context in your country, meaning that the researcher in China, they're still discussing a lot about this problem till 2022, then the problem is still relevant. Okay, this is where you have to be smart, be critical, you must have rationals and justification why you would like to focus on that research problem. Justification on the personal or workplace experience, because during your presentation, the first question that we will ask by the examiner, what made you embark into this study? That's why your backgrounds, your working experience is very important for you to relate with the research problem that you would like to solve for your doctoral degree thesis or master research. Justification based on the experience that others have in the workplace. The third one, this is where you start to interview your friends. If you don't have any working experience before this, maybe some of you just fresh graduate from bachelor degree and continue to study at the master level and continue to study at PhD level. So you don't have any working experience. This is where you need to ask your friends who are already in the workplace, who might be teachers, what are their problems nowadays. This is where another source of justification that you must have. This is the thing that I tell you, you have your experience, you come up with your problem, you justify it, we confirm it from literature, justify it with your experience, justify it from the experience that others have had in their workplace. Okay, 5 factors to choose a research problem: knowledge, your skills, your interests, your expertise, your motivations, your creativity, the importance of the questions, the relevance of the problem, the importance of problem, the relevance of the problem, practicality, and interesting. It must be interesting for you to explore. Don't do something that you are not interested on. Don't do something that might be your supervisors only interested to do it, but you did not have any interest to do it. Okay, but if the problem come from your supervisors related to research grant, you still have opportunity to make it as interesting as it can. Okay, because something that related to research grant has been worked up before this by your supervisors that really can assist you in your study. Resource of choosing a problem, your working experience, the theories, and the theory is also source of problem, literature review, and other resources that are not based on educations. Might be from mass media, newspaper cutting, or from forum, webinar that you attend. Might be also from Facebook discussion, Facebook group. That's another source of problems that you will like to look into it when you identify your research problem. This is a step to choose a research problem. Self-check. Okay? Check your motivations, experience, assumption, your knowledge, and your expertise. Do some readings to reconfirm on your assumption on the problem. Then make comparison between the papers that you read and also with other papers that you read and also your experience. Then you reconfirm. Okay, this is the problems that I would like to concentrate for my peak research. And when you log your problem, it will guide for you to prepare for your problem statement. It will guide you to prepare for your research objective, research question, theoretical frameworks, and throughout your research, the research design, instruments, and also data analysis and so on. Make sure the problem will guide you to make it every component in your proposal is interrelated among each other from A to Z, and it must be coherent. For example, simple tips I gave you. If you would like to tackle motivation as part of your research problem, then you must have an objective to identify student motivation. You must have a theory about motivation in your technical framework. You must have the techniques in the conceptual framework. Where do you going to implement the theory of motivation in your research? Whether you will implement the motivation theory in the treatment, or you want to implement the motivation theory in your instrument, as an independent variable, as a dependent variable. This is why you have to identify. Same goes to chapter 2. You must have at least subtopic to discuss on the trend of research on motivation, the gap in motivation in terms of theory, in terms of practice, and so on. Then you must have in your chapter 3 also your instrument to measure motivation. How do you measure it? How do you analyze it? How do you identify it? Can you see the coherence of everything? This is where you have to lock your mind. You have to tell your mind that this is the thing that you need to control throughout the chapter 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. If you reach up to chapter 6. Okay. Do you have any question right now? I stop sharing my screen so that we can have Questions from the
Assalamu alaikum.
WebEx. Yeah, welcome salam.
On the, you mentioned the theory. You can you can select your topic through the theory after you have read on the so many literature. The theory is on my research.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Things that you have to remember, there is a stage for all doctoral degree students. You read a lot, but it looks like you will be more confused from time to time. Is it true? You read a lot, you confuse, and you are in dilemma. Which one that you would like to focus? Isn't it? I believe some of you face that kind of stage. Okay.
The theory is theory. Assalamu alaikum.
The theory, yes. When you read, okay, how do you identify the theory for your research? Is that based on your previous reading, there must be few papers that you really refer. You really refer this paper so that for you to continue your research. There must be few papers, few research, few previous research or articles that really might be kind of similar with the scope of your research that you refer. So to identify the theory, you need to read the literature review in the paper, and you need to see also what are the gaps of the previous research try to tackle. Read the literature review of every paper that related to your research. There you will find the right theory for your PhD research. Okay?
Okay. And the theory must answer my variables.
Yes. And talking about theory, for example, motivation theory, you have to know the founder of motivation theory. Who actually developed this motivation theory? Okay, and the person that developed and introduced the motivation theory, that person name must be mentioned in chapter 2. But you're not going to use his principle, the founder of motivation theory, as part of your theoretical framework, because you know theory will be developed across time, isn't it? Might be the founder of motivation theory proposed the theory in 1950. Now we actually in 2022. So this is where you mention this founder in your chapter 2 as one sentence. But then you have to continue discuss about the evolution of the theory till now. And might be the theory also have been changed in online learning. New perspective, new principle of the theory about motivation theory have been introduced by the researcher in 2018. This is where is going to be your principles of motivation that you will use in your study, the 2018 one. But you know the 2018 motivation principle actually refer to the founder in 1915. Can you see it?
Okay.
Okay, so far so good. Devi, can you mute your mic? Okay. Okay. Any more questions? I think another one before I continue the rest of the slide.
Yes, doctor.
Prof, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not doing PhD. I'm just starting only for
Okay.
master. For example, for research problem, for example, I mean, if I observe some things during the workplace,
Okay.
I've looked certain thing that I think it could be a research problem. So what I did, I will find out. I will refer to the literature review. I will study a literature review to map up to research problem that I've observed in my workplace, and then from then I develop so-called the solution or methodologies, whatever it is. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, that's true. And then another additional step that you need to do is that identify the theory. What is behind the theory? What are the suitable theory that you can actually use it in your solution? Because you have to remember, we are doing research related to educational technology. The educational technology is about learning, teaching, and when we talk about learning, teaching, it will include assessment, curriculum, and so on. So when you have to know, learning theories is telling how people learn. Okay, based on your observation, there is something wrong with students learning this topic almost 10 years. you've been a teacher in this topic, then you can
Yes.
see that you cannot go far with the methods
Understand.
that you have right now. But you did not know actually which is the best method that I can use. So
Mm.
how can you actually, maybe you say, okay, let's say I would like to give a student a situation where they will play more in my
Yes.
class. And when you talk about play, then you have to know there must be a game-based theory.
Yeah.
Then fine, with game-based
Gamification.
learning theory, education, how can people feel fun in learning? There
Mm.
must be a theory about it.
Okay, because I think it's I mean over the more than 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I think the teaching method hasn't changed. It has been always the same, and then I feel that it's not only looking at the student. I think in terms of teachers, I think they didn't grow. So I'm more looking for more for teachers in terms of my research, because how to make the teachers I mean, we are looking for lifelong learning, upgrading, and then because teachers are the one who's supposed to make a change. But I think if they don't see a lot of industry and then they remain the same, I mean, forever, because this cannot move forward, especially like in my area of TVET, for example. So that's why I'm looking at something new, and then which I think uh, they try to implement digitalization, but I think it doesn't work because I think it's become separate, and then the teacher lose focus. So I want to focus on more on teaching and learning, so that I think the student will be motivated to pursue on this path. That's what the angle that I'm looking. Can I do like a more on a qualitative type of research, so
You
that
can. You can do that. You can do that, Rosli. Another
Yep.
thing that you have to remember, we are teachers. I'm teacher, you teacher. Okay. When we teach, who's going to be better after several years of teaching it? You are going to be the expert, because along the way you learn the new knowledge about it. This is where I believe for the teachers, among the teachers nowadays, they have to realize there are generation gap. I think, like for example, I'm actually belong to I believe I'm actually Y generation. We have millennials, we have alpha generation, which is actually the kids in the primary school right now. That is alpha generation. We have Z generation, which is actually the one in the university right now. We have X, okay, X, Y generation, millennials, sorry, millennials.
Yeah.
Millennials is actually the one who actually young one at the age of 32 years old, who already been the lecturers nowadays in the university.
Yep.
We have those at the age of 40 to 50, which is actually Y generation. And we have the X generation above 55, nearly 60. Do you know that the thinking of this Z generation and Alpha generation is totally different from the way we think?
Yep.
Ah.
Yes, Prof. I think they are lacking. What I've observed, they are lacking of cognitive. They're lacking of problem solving. So I think, but when it comes to the teaching, it doesn't help. I see this. I'm looking for more experimentation type of education. I mean, probably using VR or whatever, so that the students can experience problem solving when they are doing something. For example, if you do this is what going to happen. Something like
Yes.
that. And that, I mean, it's more on EdTech, but then it's just that that's what I'm looking at the moment. But the only issue that I have the idea, but I don't have the expertise.
Okay, it's okay. This is
Yeah.
where you have to look at different angles. Sometimes you don't have an expertise doing, as I did mention, it must, in terms of practicality of the research, must be there. Okay, if you don't have any expertise, like for example, using augmented reality, virtual reality, and so on, you can actually channel your research scope not on the technical part. Might be you are using the existing AR, what I call it, teaching learning materials. We are teaching learning materials in the market or in the online. There are so many AR online learning activities that you just need to browse it, then your student can use it. And you did not need to develop it. What you need to do is to design the learning activities so that the student will engage using the AR application in the online system. It's free.
Yeah.
This is
Actually,
how you do it.
I took your advice, and then I'm start looking at it at the moment. I think it's it is something that is good. So that it is. I mean, I'm not starting my research yet. So,
Yeah,
but then I think it's something that when you share, it's it's like just now when you mentioned about motivation. I mean, it has to follow through. I mean, from the conceptual until to the last bit of it. But very interesting. I thank you for your advice.
yeah. Okay, thank you. I will continue later on. I will open more questions. Okay. The next one that we're going to focus is on. Okay, let me check it. Okay, so the next one that I would like to focus is on identifying the research gap. Okay, how do you identify it? Okay, you should examine the part which includes the introduction section of articles. Okay, so when you find one relevant article, very interesting article that you love to read at the introduction part of the articles. Because we always has a sentence or two, or one sentence or two sentences about the reason why that research is done. Then you get idea why you need to focus also on the same research but different context. Remember, even though you are doing doctoral degree research, you can actually duplicate other people's parts of research, but you have to inject a new variable inside it, new perspective, new context, and so on. Not just duplicating 100% and use it in your situation. Read at the conclusion section of the articles and suggestion for future research in the articles. Usually they will state there, the author will explain on what are the, how to move forward, how to do future research related to the similar topic that you want. So this is where the place in the articles for you to find the research gap. The introduction of the articles means the articles that you really love to read, the conclusion part and suggestion for future research. That's why in your PhD thesis itself, you need to have suggestion for future research because people will look into it and carry forward your, what I call it, your message, right? That future research should focus more on this and so on. So this is where the gaps, easily for you to find the research gap, okay? I give you tips actually, okay. Not just read the article from first word to the end of the word. Read first the introduction, read the conclusion, read the suggestion for future research. You like it, then you start to read literature review to identify the suitable theory. Okay, I give you really a very tips to speed up your research. Methods. There are so many methods. This is for PhD research. You need to have this method. For master project, I believe you can use it, but not really. Don't use it comprehensively. Okay. Citation analysis, critical analysis, meta-analysis, systematic review, future research, and limitation. Okay. For master project, I believe you just might be need to use a future research and limitation only, and the methods to identify the research gap. For PhD, I suggest you to use at least critical analysis. Critical analysis. I will show you how to do critical analysis. If you actually subscribe to my YouTube channel, I explain further on how to do a critical analysis and how to identify a research problem. You can actually focus on that later on. Okay, let me move forward.
Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
What of systematic review?
Systematic literature review?
Yeah, can that be applied for the PhD?
Yes, yes. I will explain it. Usually,
Oh.
if you plan to do a systematic literature review, it can be one of your research objective can be related to the finding of systematic literature review. I will explain it later on. This is how you identify a research gap, and then you identify your problem identification. Remember, you can do backwards. You can do backwards, not supposed to be forward. What do I mean by backwards? You have an assumption. This is going to be the problem I would like to solve. But you need to reconfirm it. Do a critical analysis to confirm it. Then you will work backward, isn't it? You know that based on your observation as a teacher, this is a really serious problem that I need to solve. Then you need to reconfirm your assumption. Then you do backwards. Then you do a critical analysis. But if you don't have any ideas on what are really the problem, then you have to do a forward ways of identifying the research gap. You have to do the critical analysis, you find the research gap, then you formulate the problem. But if you're quite experienced teachers, then you do the other way around. You identify the problem based on your observation, you work backward, do a critical analysis, reconfirm your problem, and state your research gap. You see it? And mostly, most of my technique right now, as I can call myself as experienced researcher. Most of my technique right now, if I would like to propose a research grant, I will do backwards. I'm not going to do forwards anymore. I don't have time to do a forward ways of identifying research gap. I'll do a backwards because I've been experiencing it a lot in the area of educational technology. I observe it a lot. I supervise a lot. I read a lot. So I believe I can do a forward ways of identifying the research gap. Interesting, isn't it? Okay. Critical analysis is about looking at the materials and so on, and how do you actually analyze it. And there is a table of critical analysis. I will show you the table. Okay, and there are two techniques that really needed if you're doing a critical analysis. You need a critical reading. You need a critical writing. That's why critical thinking is very, very important attributes for doctoral degree student and PG student. Okay, it's very, very important. Okay, so how do you conduct a critical analysis? What is the objective of the research? You have to identify. You have a paper because critical analysis is analyzing a collection of paper. Critical analysis is about analyzing a collection of paper. So each of the paper, you have to read the research objective. You have to clarify the method used. You have to identify the sample used. What are the findings? What are the arguments about the research in the articles? How does this research, how does the articles relate to your research? This is all the things that you need to identify in each articles that you read to conduct critical analysis. Put it inside here. Another way is to do a qualitative literature review. You want to finding the depths. You have the source. The sources is about all the articles, article 1, article 2, article 3. Then you have a concept to identify the concept matrix that you can use if you are using the qualitative literature reviews. You have to read it. This is what the things that you need to. Concept 1 can be a variable, can be the scope of research. For example, source 1 and source 3, this is all the 3 research related to motivation. Concept 1, concept 2, concept 3 can be, concept 1 might be preschool children, concept 2 might be primary school student, concept 3 is secondary school student, and concept 4 might be higher ed student. Then you identify which area is still lacking. Not so many previous researchers conducting research related to preschool might be, or might be primary, or might be secondary and higher ed. And it will give you guides on which context of research that you will continue for your master's and PhD. Okay. Literature search selection, you need to search from the database of papers or citations, select it, papers, identify papers, then read a little bit on the papers, whether it's suitable for you to conduct further critical analysis of each paper. This is one of the examples. Okay, and then of course, critical reading, as I mentioned, is very important. And critical reading is about you interact with the text. How do you read it? You have to read it and catch it, the point that you read from the articles. Okay. Some of question, this one I go fast because it's more on the tips and technique, how to make yourself as critical in reading. And this is the technique 1 to 6. Okay, you have to ask question towards the articles. I think this one you can read it further because it's just an sharing step that you can use. Okay. If you read the articles also, you need to identify what are the questions or problem is the author addressing, what are the result and conclusion of the study, and do. For me, I'm only doing this stage when I have assumption, my own assumption based on my experience, what are actually the research problem that I would like to tackle. Then I will do this to reconfirm my assumption. Okay. Yeah, because as I did mention that I can categorize myself as an experienced researcher. Okay. Then this is the differences between systematic review and literature review. In systematic review, you are doing it using a specific technique, and there is a popular framework for systematic literature review, and I will share in my slide. Okay, you can watch later on my systematic literature review techniques through these YouTube channels. Okay. Just to glance you information a little bit on meta-analysis. Meta-analysis is higher levels of doing critical analysis. For me, for the doctoral degree research, if you claim that you use meta-analysis, that one is really high. Usually you just conduct critical analysis. But because meta-analysis itself can be one PhD. Meta-analysis itself can be one PhD research. Remember that. But usually not so many PhD students doing meta-analysis as the 100% of his or her doctoral degree research. So that's why usually you are doing critical analysis and not the meta-analysis. Okay, and this is about meta-analysis. If you would like to conduct it in the future, okay, about it. And as I did mention, this is a popular framework of systematic literature review. We call it as PRISMA by Mother, Preferred Reporting Items of Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis Framework. So it will start with identifications of paper, then you filter or screen the paper, you identify the numbers that are papers that are eligible for you to conduct the critical analysis, then you do the critical analysis using the critical analysis table. And some bonus for all of you to identify your research problem. This is my prediction on the way forward for educational technology research. I formulated this paradigm shift of research focus in educational technology last year when I delivered a sharing a talk to one of the university in Malaysia. So the trend of research nowadays, because of new normal, can be categorized whether you want to focus on learning outcome or you want to focus on learning process. If you will to focus on learning process, you might want to explore online reflective thinking, online learning behavior, online critical thinking process. Don't worry about the so-called bombastic definition or terms that I've been mentioned here about online reflective thinking, because there are established instruments to measure online reflective thinking, online learning behavior, online critical thinking process. Even there are new emerging theories related to online reflective thinking and so on. If you would like to focus on the learning outcome, you might want to look on the performance, the emotion, the attitude, the perceptions, the other variables also you can measure. And then if you measure on the delivery modes, you can focus on blended learning, homeschooling, emergency remote learning and teaching, virtual classroom, synchronized and synchronized, learning through WhatsApp, learning through Telegram, learning through Messenger. This is all the things that you can need to explore. For master project, you can explore it. Technology tools, there are so many technology tools nowadays that you can explore. The learning community also, the involvement of parents in teaching and learning through online learning. It's another indicator that you can put as a flavor in your research. The pedagogies that we have nowadays, the curriculum, whether it's unstructured, structured curriculum, the assessment part, that's another techniques that you can actually focus. And this is actually my suggestion, and it's free. You can take it as part of your research focus and research problem. This is what the techniques that I'm working backward. I identify the research trend based on my experience and reading after being supervising up to 32 students PhD graduated and involved in kind of quite numbers of research. This is my assumption on the way forwards for research related to teaching and learning and the new normals and related to education and technology. And I give some examples or a type of titles for master project. For those who do not have a title yet, this is a free, none of my student is using it. For example, you might be want to investigate the motivation, teaching style of primary school teacher during the pandemic situation. And this is some of the theory that you can use. There's so many theory, but because it involves participation of the teachers, might be McGregor participation theory is the suitable theory that you can use. The instrument, you can use survey, interview, and so on. Another topics that I would like to suggest for those who do not have a topic, what is the perception of primary school teachers of online learning during COVID-19 pandemic period? A case study in Indonesia, a case study in Nigeria, a case study in Malaysia, and so on. Okay. Initial report teaching, motivation, well-being during COVID-19 from the perspective of university students and lecturers might be. And you can focus on that. So, teaching and learning mathematics of Form 2 students through WhatsApp, using Padlet, designing and developing synchronous online learning activities, student interaction patterns through WhatsApp in learning science. When you focus on student interaction pattern, there are actually interaction theories. There's so many interaction theories that you should focus in your writing of your PhD. Okay, last tip before we're going to go for question and answer. The important parts that you have to remember, doing research is not about reading, staying in your room, read, write, and so on. There are the other three additional, what I call it, lifestyle, and that you should actually reflect and practice. Having enough sleep. Me, myself, if I don't have enough sleep, I cannot actually be a multitasking person and concentrate on teaching and so on. Balance, you must have a balanced diet. Okay, eat fruits, eat sticks, vitamins, okay, and exercise. Then your brain can boost out and to generate ideas and to concentrate on teaching on reading. Okay, it's not a smooth sailing process. You plan smoothly, but along the way, as a doctoral degree student, maybe you face challenges, and it's okay. Challenges make you learn new things. Okay. Plus, the challenges, the dilemma. How do you know that research problem is okay? How do you know it? Check with your supervisor, check with literature, and have your sense of feeling and what you call it, something like you have to trust yourself that the problem is really okay for you to solve. Lack of critical thinking sets a challenge. Changes of some policies of your ministry when you would like to concentrate on research that might be close to the policy of your governments or your ministry. Confused. The more you read, the more you get confused. That's okay. Confusion is a signal that after 2 weeks, you will find your research focus. If till now you did not reach up to the confusion stage, meaning that it will be take more longer for you to identify your problem. When you reach up the peak of confusion, then inshallah, believe me, another 2 weeks, you will find your research problem. Okay, believe me, I promise you, you will get it. Where to start? Another dilemma. Still can't identify the research problem to tackle. Already in third semester, still did not have a research problem. That's challenges that you face. And conclusion, read and stop read sometime when you have enough. And then you reach up to the confusion stage, you stop read and try to discuss it with friends and supervisors or other professors to get second opinion. Start with a broad ideas and end up with a specific ideas. Be creative, be bold, be happy, and be passionate. Okay, I think that's all my sharing session within 1 hour. I still have time, don't worry. Let me check my GC, Google Calendar. What do I have next? Okay, but because everybody knows that I'm working based, I'm totally work based on my Google Calendar. Okay, yeah, I have another 30 minutes to entertain any questions from all of you. before I have another appointments with my staff. Okay, I'm open the floor to questions. Anyone? So far so good. I hope that you get ideas. And if you reach out to certain stage that you frustrated, you feel down, okay, find a way to make you happy, to love your research again, and be positive on it. Inshallah, Allah will show the ways. How do you going to do your research? Okay. Sometimes you need to talk with your mom, your dad, just to feel to make yourself calm a little bit. Okay, don't worry about it. The time will come that at the end you will be clear on your research problem. Okay, that's my tips to all of you. Because if you study about how people releasing negative or positive charge, those who actually have a positive thinking in everything, they tend to release positive ion and signals surround them. Okay, and with that new and with that only positive thing will come into it. That's why you have to be optimistic. You have to have positive thinking, keep reading, and inshallah, I pray to Allah that you will get your research problem. Okay, any question more?
Prof, can you give a tips how a master's student can do a research that is towards a PhD, for example? I mean, I don't have much time, honestly. So I'm thinking. I mean, I want to pursue, for example. So I want to do it something now, so that that can
Okay.
be yeah. So I hope you can give me a tips, because since
Okay.
I'm not young anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you plan to proceed later, your master project will be your doctoral degree in the doctoral degree research in the future. I give you tips. Okay. Based on your observation, this is really a problem in teaching and learning that you need to tackle. If I refer to the one that you mentioned, Rosalie, is about the teachers did not use the new methods. Maybe they use the technological tools, but they just use it. They just use it. They just take their PowerPoint, the existing PowerPoint that they use in their face-to-face class, they put it in Google Meet, and they just explain it. Is what they have right now. Okay, might be for the master project, you are asking about their readiness on or their awareness, their acceptance towards it. What do they think when they actually change from face to face to online? Do they change their attitude? Do they change their teaching style? Do they change their pedagogy? So maybe that is for master project. You will want to focus on that. Then you might be conduct interview as a what I call it data collection technique. You might be going to throw a survey to collect data and so on. End up with that only. But for your doctoral degree, what you can do, Rosalie, based on that, you want to do more. You would like to suggest how can you help them? Do you going to produce a teaching module for them so that they can transform to be a future-ready educators, not only using the tools, but formulating and transform their teaching and learning to be suitable with the need of Z generation and Alpha generation with the needs of the technological tool. It's going to be a PhD, Rosalie. I hope you get ideas on it.
Noted, Prof. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay. Because based on my observation, I had one. Oh, do I have? Yeah, I have one student who did a master project with me, and after that continue a doctor degree with me. Yes, we carry out the same topic, the same scope, but we expand it. We expand it on different perspectives, and it looks like the student can really smooth running and identify the PhD research problem easily compared to those who did not actually have any baseline on what kind of research that they want to continue for the doctoral degree. Okay. Thank you very much. Any more questions? I can take another 1 or 2 questions. Now it's 11 a.m. Okay. Anyone? No? Okay, so far so good. Can we, some of you on the camera so that we can take pictures as something like for us to share, especially I have to pass this picture to Dr. Zack. Okay. My new boss who actually the one who coordinate this boot camp. Remember, although you might be, for example, I'm the dean of the faculty, but when it comes to this kind of activities, I have a boss. The boss is Dr. Zack, okay? Because she's the coordinator for this boot camp. So I have to follow everything, have to record it, have to upload to the YouTube. Okay, I say to Dr. Zack, okay, Dr. Zack, I will follow it, everything. Okay, let me try to take pictures, okay? First page, okay? Wait for, bear with me, okay? Because I need to paste it in, okay? I only capture the first page. Okay, second screen. Okay. How many that we have? 48, Okay, second screen, okay. Okay. You use with Mac, because now I'm using my Windows-based PC. Usually I'm using Mac, so they have a different key. Okay, sorry, it'll take time a little bit to capture. Sorry. Okay, okay, the third screen. Okay, that's another. Okay, the third screen. Okay, I need to add my. Okay, the fourth one. What's the fourth one? Yeah, the fourth one. Okay, we only have 4 screen, if I'm not mistaken. We just wait. I need to paste it. Okay, let me see. Okay, we have 4 screen only. Thank you very much to all of you. The video, and I think you get access with the PowerPoint. The video will be shared later on the YouTube. If you have any problem, you need second opinion, okay, let me put my email address in chat. Where is it, the chat? Okay, you can just contact me anytime. Remember, I have limited time during office hour, but usually if you email me or if you want to contact me, WhatsApp me, but you have to introduce yourself, because usually when I receive WhatsApp with from numbers that I did not actually save it in my handphone, you did not introduce yourself, I just keep quiet. Okay, so
Doctor.
if you, yeah,
I'm Nuraini.
okay.
Okay, Doctor, I almost finished my master journey.
That's
So
great.
this is my third semester lah. So when I hear your ceramah today, I feel motivated to further study in PhD level. So wish me luck for my master journey.
Inshallah, I will pray for it, because you know what?
Okay.
You know what? Doing a PhD is, I always say to my colleague, when you actually decide yourself to further your study for doctorate degree, for Muslim, but also for non-Muslim, this is a very, I think, I cannot put in a proper word. It's a very fruitful journey where you will actually straighten your relationship with your God, for Muslim, with Allah, for non-Muslim, with your own religious belief on it. And it will straighten your relationship with your parents, family, kids, and also with your friends. It's not just doing research. And it will make yourself more humble, more appreciate other people, and try to understand people more. That is what I got it when I did my PhD along the way. And I understand very well, inshallah, my strength, my weaknesses, my some of might be a negative part of myself, which I need to reduce a little bit and so on, and how to control yourself a little bit. Okay, so I pray for you, Noraini, for you to embark and start concentrate on your doctoral degree research. Okay, thank you very much. Anyone can WhatsApp me, email me. If you need opinion, I can give opinion, inshallah. I will try to assist you as much as I can. So that's all. Sorry if there is words that might be offense you during my sharing session. Thank you very much. And I pray for your success. And I end my sharing session with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good luck, everybody. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Hello, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.